Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's 8 o'clock. You know what time it is. It's time to talk. Again, big shout out to Calzura. What else can I say? The only shoe that has this IFU on the market that can be thermally disinfected. So you know that you're having a safe pair of shoes that you can, just make sure that you're treating your feet. Use the code time to talk to make sure you get your discount off of your pair of Calzuras today, whether it be the classics or the brand new Rebel. We just want to make sure that we are treating our feet. Family, we're here. I got a treat for you today. I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to highlight some of our unsung heroes. I brought somebody today who has an interesting take on certain things. He writes for the process. He's one of the contributing writers for the process. And he wrote a couple of articles that I want us to jump in today to just make sure that we can see both sides of the coin. He wrote an article like, what are some of the main characteristics of a SPD leader? Let it resonate with you. What are some of those core characteristics of an SPD leader? Interesting question, right? So today we're going to dive into that. He also wrote a piece for the magazine called If Surgical Instrument Sets Could Talk, What Would They Say? Now, I was intrigued by the title alone. If surgical instrument sets could talk, what would they say? I know all of us are probably thinking the same thing. Like, what would they say? That would be an interesting conversation to hear, especially coming from the instrument mindset. So I'm going to bring in a good friend of the family, Norm Thompson. Give him a warm welcome, everybody. Norm Thompson, welcome to Time to Talk, sir.
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. Kenneth, like I told you when I mentioned Chicago, it's just refreshing to meet someone who has the same passion.
And that's what it is. Like when you can, that passion overflows. And in reading your articles, I can see how passionate you are about the business, about leadership, about growing other staff members into leaders, and then the comical side of, hey, what would the instruments say? So I wanted to get your take. So we're going to do this by an article. So we're going to talk about the first article first. If that's okay with you, we're going to dive right into that article. It said, what are the core characteristics of an SPD leader? Now, some of the things I read from your article that I wanted to highlight and get your, just what were you thinking about that in the beginning? You said one of the core characteristics, or not even one of the core characteristics, a statement you made about a leader having to have dedication to patient care and technician support. Having dedication to patient care and technician support. Explain that to me when you were thinking about that process, or that being a leader's standpoint.
Well, Kenneth, it came across after being involved with sterile processing, coming out of a teaching environment. I taught high school and middle school, also coached.
Okay.
In this position, you had great leaders and you had, should I say, dictatorships. The great leaders developed their staff members. They had a core. They just had an idea of where they were going and what they wanted their program to look like. So
Okay.
when I transitioned over into the medical side of career building, that's what I looked for. Does my manager, supervisor walk the walk or just talk the talk? And with that, I would always carry around, and I share this with everyone. I always carry around a little pocket notebook. So I jot down notes, dates and times, things that I've seen, things that that are not being done correctly, etc. And doing so, I ended up with a little diary. and it kind of jumpstarted me into writing that type of leadership skill. As a coach, you need your team to follow your lead because they know you're going to be there for them. You're the first to come, last to leave.
Right.
As a manager, you should still have that mindset to stand up for your team, to go build a positive relationship with the customers that we service, and not allow them to dictate to us when we are their pit crew, so to say. And then that's what it came to me. The fruition came when a manager told me to zip it in an in-service, and I thought that was very rude and embarrassing.
Right. Right.
For me, and undermining to the rest of the staff because no one would ask any more questions. And that led to my first article, Communication, the Key to Success in Sterile Processing and Beyond. They published it, and I kept going from there.
Okay. So again, when you speak about that dedication to patient care and you say technician support, so having a twofold approach, keeping patient care first, all the while supporting your team. That's where you speak about talking to the service lines that we service and making sure that they understand your standpoint of the relationship. Hey, we're providing a service. My team is competent, and you're standing up for your team. So that's something like that. I can imagine being in the in-service and somebody saying zip it. That would be definitely right. You would probably deter anybody else from answering any question or asking any questions or anything. So yeah. So in saying that, one of the key points you said was characteristics. We're going to talk about characteristics. One of the characteristics you said is maximize motivation. And what I saw, and I say this and you can expand, but does a highly motivated leader actually equal highly motivated staff?
Great question. It doesn't equate to that, but as a highly motivated individual, period, you know right away who you can select to be in your bunch, in your group. So a highly motivated manager can select those that he can see the characteristics in and kind of motivate them toward a goal if they don't have one. Because some, as you understand, it says in the job description, high school diploma for
Right.
processing. For me, it should say at least an associate degree because there's too much information that this person has to have in order to really be effective and to develop or follow a career path. And that's why that was stated. And me being a self-motivated individual, been in travel for a while, I can tell who I can work with and go get answers to questions I have in any situation I'm in. Without saying anything, I can see the person who will pick up and do what's necessary other than complain and say it's not my job. That's what I mean by motivated. Now, at that point, question?
I would say for my people listening, and I get what you're saying. So high school diploma is the basic qualification. Yes. You're saying that for what we do and the amount of information, you think that from your take, it should say associate's or associate's degree, or at least some other form of education.
I feel that way because you know how high school, was for yourself. You had people who really was above the curve and knew what was going on. You had the others that didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. So It appears that we're getting those kind of still, I just want a job kind of people. When they get in there and discover it could be overwhelming. Now, the motivated employee will start departmentalizing what it is that they need to do first, second, third, and fourth, and so on, and then go seek that information in order to make sure to qualify what they're supposed to do. That manager will then start putting them in place to make them move forward. One by saying, it's time for you to get a certification. This is what you need to do. continue to build upon your career and your knowledge skill set.
I just wanted to real quick just acknowledge Brian. He said that, and I think he's talking about when you say you keep the notebook. He said that's smart to do. He was just talking about this, and he loved where you're going with it. I have short timers, and I never jot down thoughts or experiences as I go along while I'm working. When I have ideas, I tend to forget what the thought was, and we lose so many ideas that way. And he's not wrong. Because like, you can have that idea, and before you get a chance to write it down, it's gone from your mind. So the notebook in the pocket is a great idea for anybody. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Like, short timers is the part that I got short timers.
Hey, Brian, I'm wondering if there's some medication for that. I didn't even think of it that way, Brian, because my thing is that is a short time situation. And whatever you write down, you can go, wait a minute, on this date at this time, this is what happened. This is the people involved with it. This is what I thought about it. How can we handle this better? That way, they're going to get to the point where, that's the notebook guy. They used to call me notebook man. Oh, that's the notebook guy. Ask him.
I think that's like saying going into the next point you made in that same statement, along with how he's saying it's for ideas, you're saying it's for, research, not remembering certain incidents and stuff that happened. In that same bullet point, you mentioned accountability and involvement. So having that notebook, dates, times of when things happen, you can hold accountability for things that have happened and things that, you want to make sure you recall at a later time if something was to come up.
Yes.
And then the involvement is you have that notebook. You can go to your leader, your front line, and pitch your ideas. And, hey, I saw this. I observed this happening. I think maybe we could try this. So it's a kind of a twofold. It's kind of like, you're watching what's going on, making sure that you actually do have that open communication there too. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all it is. You're just doing a daily diary. I used to write it in my email. I would say, notes for the day or, incident report to myself, and I'd shoot it to my personal email. But when you go traveling, you don't want to keep having footprints all over the place. So I just turned it into a pad. And I use it just for note taking, to learn, to understand processes. Because as a traveler or being in sterile processing, it can change. Now, when it changes, you want to write a little note to yourself. Okay, that procedure has changed to this on this day at this time, and this is why. Now your knowledge, you're just saturating yourself with new information. And new information is key, especially in sterile processing and, the speed in which we supposedly have to get things done, instead of building a relationship and say, hey, these are the parameters, and these parameters we must maintain.
Okay. So since we're talking motivation, I got a question from Knowledge or Nonsense. It says, how do you communicate to a non-motivated lead to up the pace when a motivated leader comes into authority or a leadership position within their organizational chart? How does that communication look?
Well, it sounds like a lot of sidebars, because this non-motivated person could have been under a non-motivated leader. Now, with that being said, they call it PIP, Performance Improvement Plan.
Right.
That's when you can put that in effect and do it professionally, not embarrassing. Sometimes as sterile processors and in the department, a lot of embarrassing things go on. Like I said, zip it, Thompson. That was very embarrassing. So with that being said, you take that non-motivated leader, pull him to the side. Hey, this is a new day. This is how we need to do. This is where I want you to, curve your skill base and motivate, because we're not meeting these deadlines and we're causing backups in procedures and delays. And that's a problem. You're a director. You're going to hear all that. Well, they delayed me 45 minutes because X, Y, and Z. Now that motivated leader will have to take that non-motivated person under his wings, find out if he is willing to stay in that position, And if not, look into your staff pool. They will gravitate to you. They will automatically come. Hey, sir, Mr. Jenkins, it's done. What do you want me to do? How fast? What's happening? Put me on that motivated stuff. Put me on that turnaround. I want to be on the turnaround team. Okay.
Right.
Stuff
Right,
of that
right.
nature, you know. And that's
I see.
yeah. Go ahead.
Just want to say hi. We got Star checking in, Arlene checking in, just saying welcome to the panel, the fan base, the families here, just checking out what you're saying. But that goes into the next point that you said. You said that one of those characteristics should be that a leader should be able to tap into the technician talent. And the quote that I got from it is, it said, good managers see and cultivate each employee's leadership potential, especially for positive, self-motivated technicians. So kind of feeding off the question she just said, if you have that non-motivated lead, but then you have a motivated leader that comes in, and you said the same thing. You said that's when you have to tap into that talent pool. How does that look when you're trying to cultivate those non-motivated people and still maintain your motivated staff? Now you're looking into the staff that you have, looking within to see what each person's leadership potential could be.
Okay. Well, once again, it will take, huddles. It will take, meetings. Say, hey, all staff meeting today. I need to introduce myself. There are new expectations. We have to meet certain goals. I know we're not going to talk about yesterday. Today's a new day. So we're going to have these meetings until we are all on the same page and we can turn around this percentage of late and tardy and holding back cases till it's on the positive side. I need all those who wants to understand. I need everybody to be on board with this. We're not going to worry about yesterday. If I continue to hear well, we did it like this. Well, it didn't work. And all we can do is make it work. We're not here to browbeat. See, a leader has to get in there and not be a dictator. My grandmother used to tell me this: you can kill more flies with honey. And it didn't dawn on me one day. It dawned on me one day, and I said, that's what she meant. You can kill more, flies are nasty. You can kill more of that dead weight, that productivity with, we're going to put honey on that. Now it's stuck over here, and we don't even have to deal with that anymore. But I need you guys to follow me. It's not that I'm better than you. It's that I'm looking for leaders to take over when I'm gone, or be the director, or, I might take on a new responsibility. That's my goal when I walk into a facility strange, as a traveler. Who is that person that I can go to? Like I said, so that leader who's motivated is really subliminally calling out, hey, I'm looking for you. I'm seeking those who are looking for us. And this is what we're looking for. And at that point, they'll come by the office. They'll stop you in the break room or while walking down the hall. I understand, coach. And I tell them to call me coach because I'm coachable. And then you'll find these leaders. You'll find them. They're there. Some of them are hungry. Some of them are browbeaten by the old way of doing things. And that's what SPD needs to stop doing. Browbeating and, should I say, putting out the fire.
Right.
And promoting, whatever I want to be politically correct. I don't want to hear, oh my God, he said we're stupid. No, we're not saying that. We're saying mediocrity. If you're satisfied with where you're at, and this person has aspirations, my job as a good leader is going to stop you from stopping this person. And I don't want to. No, he has aspirations. He's on this team. I'll put him on the safety committee. I'll put him on committees. Like I said, he'll be on the turnaround team. I expect you to do X, Y, Z. So now he's getting more responsibility. And that person over here has conversations with the little cliques they developed. We're trying to get rid of that negative clique. So we can be better as a department and looked upon as we're the pit crew. Without us, it's nothing. Us and environmental services. That's all I'm saying.
So part of this is like, so we're still talking about the maximize the motivation, tapping into talent. I got to come in here, says a good team lead leads to leadership among their team. If your team lead isn't motivated, how can your staff be motivated?
Good question. I'm going to turn it right back around to what we said. That means more meetings, more understandable, more meaningful meetings, and make them everybody accountable. Accountability is heavy in that good question right there.
But for your from a lead standpoint though, if you're got a lead or a team lead or leader, and that person is non-motivated, say that person was already in position when you got there and they're non-motivated and they're leading your staff and you want them to look into the talent, tap into the talent and get in there and motivate, but they're non-motivated. How does that work for your team?
Once again, you're not motivated, we're going to look to replace you. That's no ifs, ands, or buts. You know, we have to call a spade a spade. If you don't want to do it, we have to have you to understand what we want. I'm the new manager. I'm the manager that's looking at and hearing from my superior saying, hey, we brought you here to turn this ship around.
Right.
You have to turn it around. And whatever you have to do, you can do it professionally. That person isn't motivated. Start sliding people beside him and making him talk to these people. You can slowly make him understand that, hey, I'm out of here. Either you step to the plate, swing the bat, or next man up. It's always next man up.
I think that's where Arlene was going. Arlene said that's how we grow people. Training your replacement. Show staff that there's a career ladder and advancements, and be the reason that staff want to stay in the departments. You want the staff to stay in the departments because they have a good leader, a leader that's motivated, a leader that's teaching. Like I like what you said. You said, call me coach, not only because you're coaching the staff, but you're coachable.
Yes.
I like that. And she said, yeah, manage them up. You got to manage them up, set the example for the staff. That's where you're trying to get that change in people, that change in the talent. Just, I like that topic right there. That I like how it all flows together. We got to maximize the motivation in people, and now we got to tap into those other people in the department. I like that part.
And Arlene, you said manage them up. Well, see, that's a coaching term. We got to coach them up. That's why it says next man up. And like you said, manage them up. But hey, Arlene, that you're right there. And I'm sure wherever you're working, Miss Arlene, that you're making it happen. And people who are visiting this chat room is wanting to be a part of the changing of the guard. Because when I got into sterile processing in 2013, I was overwhelmed by mediocrity. And then the demand for, perfection. How can you demand perfection when these people don't care about it?
Right.
It was amazing to me. And I was 100 miles an hour.
I said, we're about to start some stuff now. So CS Assist says, what are the indicators of a victim mindset versus a solution-oriented mindset? We're about to get into it now. Here we go.
And I'm going to relax. I'm sipping on a little tea to get the parchness out because we're stepping on the gas here. It's like this. A victim mindset, who victimized you? Once you figure out who victimized you and who put you in this type of mindset, then we can come and create solutions to reorientate a new mindset. Because once again, we have to get rid of the old guard. Oh, I'm the boss. So, and I don't understand that I'm the boss. Well, do it yourself. If everybody would leave the department and left you the boss, you couldn't do anything. Right. So we find out the issues first, the victim issues, mindset, how it got to this level of I do not care, and it shows in my productivity. Then we continue to ask the staff for solutions. See, you got to get them engaged. And once they have these meetings and say, well, we need to blase scope. Well, guess what? You and you are part of this new coalition to redevelop and add the new mindset. You're giving them something to do that's positive. Then,
so you're taking that victim mindset, turning it back around and say, let's find out why you feel that way.
Yes.
And then make a part of the solution building process.
Yes.
Okay.
That's like a needs assessment. We have a needs assessment here.
Right.
We have a problem. How are we going to fix it? I need you, and you. You're the motivated people, and you're my lead who's getting motivated again. So I need you to take them over there, and you guys come up with a plan. Bring it to me. I'm the final say, and give it a little polish, but it's going to be engaging for the team. Now we're talking team, not individuals. In Chicago, he talked about that pickle theory. Leave your problems at the door. That's great. That's the first thing we all have to understand. Patient care is priority one. And so that's it.
So going back to, we talked about maximizing motivation, and that included holding accountability and involvement. And now you're saying, in order to bring them out of that victim mind state, we have to get them involved with the solution building process.
Yes.
So that's where we're tapping into that talent.
Yes.
So you're tying it together here. I like how you're tying it together here now. So, okay, I see what you're doing there. I saw what you're doing.
Great ideas.
I saw what you're doing there. I like it. All right. So another one of the characteristics you brought out, you said that a good leader needs to prioritize patient care and safety. And something I saw that you had there, it said every SPD leader and technician must be patient care driven. From the leader down to the technicians, it must be patient care driven. We got one more comment here before you answer that. It says, find out what motivates them, start inspiring them again. What made them lose their inspiration? We want to bring it back to that. Let's inspire them again. And then if they still don't find the motivation needed to manage up or manage out, can come into play at that time, but communication is the key. So I think it ties everything together. What you've been saying is that, hey, as a leader, if you have somebody who's not motivated, it's up to you to find out, well, what can we do to get you motivated? What inspires you to be motivated? What is your driving purpose? And then try to bring that back, bring that feeling back to them. I like all of the things that people are saying. And like I said,
they're really answering their own questions. Just like one of my leaders or my heroes would say, don't count the days, make the days count.
Ooh, okay. I like that one.
I steal from everybody. I stole stuff from you. So that's how I continue to polish my knowledge. And I say, that's your toolbox. People say, what do you mean by a toolbox? I said, doesn't an auto mechanic have a toolbox? Does a construction engineer have a toolbox? Doesn't a dentist have tools that he used that we process? So ours is more knowledge-based, process-based tools and understanding when we come across situations. That's why I write them down. It's not to tell on anyone. It's to remind me where we dropped the ball and how we continue to carry the ball when we come back around to that same situation. You a leader, you understand. You can't keep dropping the same ball. You get the same results. So I love the family. I love you guys coming up with questions that you're answering. You bringing up the answers. I'm just saying, yeah, you're already thinking the way I'm thinking, and I love it.
Okay. All right. So we got to take a quick commercial. When we come back, we'll finish this discussion. It's headed in great places. I think everybody's comments and stuff are bringing out. Hey, like you said, we're stepping in it now. The gas has been mashed and we're going forward. So we're going to take a quick commercial and we'll be right back. Again, big shout out to Calzura. Get you a set of the classics. Treat your feet. We got the new Rebels that's out. Use the code Time to Talk. Get you 15% off of your purchase today. Go out there, treat your feet. I wear mine every day, and I can't tell you that the wonderful shoes. Try them out for yourself. Right before the commercial, we were talking about how we tie everything together, maximizing the motivation, tapping into your technician talent. And one of the last, another characteristic you brought up was from a leader and a technician standpoint, we need to prioritize patient care and safety. Let's talk about that. Where does that tie into a characteristic though of a leader?
Well, see, that leader has to stand up to the 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 people we service. Now, they always come up with impossible wants.
Right.
Now, as a leader, he has to stand firm. These are the processes that has to take place. This is a process that cannot go beyond your needs. So I think a leader should, and this is patient care and safety, continue to communicate with the branches we serve or service, and continue to make them understand that it can't be turned around in this XYZ time. It's standards, it's best practice, it's patient safety and employee safety. You can't say
Right.
you got 20 hip sets or you got 20 hip procedures and you only got 6 sets, and you're scheduling them so close together that the process time will not be even measured into that. That's when it has to be for the leader. Bring one of his team leads with him so he can see how you handle a in-person meeting with that leader in that department. We love to help you guys. We want to. That's our job. That's our passion. But the scheduling is a little tight. It's kind of impossible to do what you need us to do and still keep you on time. So
Right.
we have to come up with a stronger, let's say a stronger relationship building to the patients that we service. Our customers that we service, be it GYN, clinics, OR, trauma, whatever, they have to understand. Now, one place that they do understand is you have your emergency carts. They're
Right.
always ready to go. That's a total process. It has to be maintained because it is what it says it is. It's
Right.
emergency. Now, if they would go ahead and bring that over to the other needs of daily planning and understanding how many instrument sets you have, and then maybe going to the board saying, hey, we have done over the past year, let's say 500 hip sets, but we only have 6 available working hip sets. I think
Right.
we either need to build 10 and 20 more, or how can we bring some closure to this issue? There's always a solution to a so-called problem. And that's what good leaders do. What has he done? He's brought one of his leadership with him to let him know, this is what I do. This is what be expected of you, to build positive conversations and come up with solutions to these so-called stigmas that get placed on sterile processing. I'm not going to say any, but I think you guys probably heard them before.
so
And
when you
being
say take that,
educated,
I was just about to say, so you're taking that person with you, so you're empowering them to make those decisions too, to open up that line of communication.
yes,
So you're not, so then they should, any tech, because you say every SB leader and technician.
yes,
So they all should be able to have that communication with the surgical services about turnover times and, like you said, sticking to processes.
we
So
have to.
we can't take any shortcuts, and every tech should be holding that patient safety and patient care to that high standard, because that's what we're saying.
Arlene just said it. We have to maintain that parameter. Safety is paramount to not only leadership, but to the whole staff. Now that staff looks to the leader and goes, He's for us. We can depend on him. His word is our word. He will go to bat for us. He won't look for finger pointing. He's going to find the facts, and we're going to find solutions. And when we find that, we got good young leaders. They're coming up and they're seeing it. Wait a minute, folks. From a head nurse, charge nurse comes down. Y'all are stupid. Oh, I said it. I'm sorry. SPD. You know how they say, you stupid people. Wow. How are we stupid? We got over 10,000 instruments we have to prepare, know how to get them to you. We prepare the set the way you want it. Now we're stupid. Okay. But you have to let that go past you. We have to be tough-skinned and say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. But if we had an updated preference card, we won't be so stupid.
Uh-oh. See, you're bringing preference cards into this. See what you're doing? I see what you're doing there. So
float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
So again, that's everybody holding their part accountable to their parts. Yes, if we have the correct preference cards and all the things that you need, and people are talking about the schedule, holding patient safety first, and you're not putting us in a position where you're trying to have us do shortcuts and stuff of that nature. But again, standing firm on what you believe in sterile processing, following the processes to the key. That's where we want the staff. That's where we want our leaders. Again, I'm from that same school there. I have no problem talking to the OR and letting them know, like, some stuff just can't be done. And scheduling is one of those type of things. See, they see you stepping in and they're like, ooh.
I will say it and I will say it again. I'm going to share with you this. I listened to a sports podcast called Pivot.
Right.
There is a neurosurgeon, Myron Rowe. He went to the University of Miami. He majored in neuroscience. He went to the NFL. They cut him because they didn't feel he was giving enough time to his profession as a football player. Well, I caught the show. Mind you, he's mentioned that neurology, you have to include your whole staff. He got to naming staff. And when he said materials management, he didn't even have to say sterile processing. He already included them when he said materials management. We are part of that. He said, I can't do my job if I can't include my whole staff in this. And I was like, whoa, here's a young man who went to Florida State because of the fact he told him he was going to be a student athlete and he wanted to study neuroscience. They said, we will back you on this, because Florida State was being known as criminals and not students. So they backed him all the way. And he went pro, played for Pittsburgh Steelers. And he's from Jamaica. He's a Kappa. I mean, no pun intended, but he is. And when I heard him say that, I woke up and sat up and looked at the whole show because of his conversation, his demeanor.
Right.
He said, I have to tell that family that my entire team, he didn't stop with the OR team. He went all the way down to materials management.
Right.
They have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. And if every surgeon would take the time to understand who's on their team other than the ones they see, we would get better people. We wouldn't have to recycle and burn out people. And then they can grow and develop, which I see there's a need for real career development paths in sterile processing.
Yeah, I see a comment from Knowledge Analysis here. It says, when you do your part, our part may not be so difficult, and vice versa. Again, when they prepared, we can be prepared, and everybody has their role to play. And if all of those roles align, then you get a better outcome. That's where I like to see that. So yeah, I see what you're doing. So then the last one that y'all
preaching to me. I'm just saying amen. Y'all, family, look, family, time to talk, family. Y'all preaching to me. I'm just saying amen. That's all.
And the last one that you put in the characteristics, you say a good leader must be able to reevaluate the SPD needs. So what I saw was it said if space, technology, or staffing gaps are identified that could limit the SPD's ability to keep up with the current and future demands, the leader must build a strong case with the organization's executive leaders. So just from that statement alone, being able to recognize what needs to be done and not being afraid to go to your C-suite and having those conversations.
Yeah.
But if we tie this all together, if you have a non-motivated lead, you're trying to get these conversations had. So let's, you know what I'm saying? So just let's figure that part out.
Well, by this time, that non-motivational lead is overwhelmed by all the new energy that's in the room. We've already talked to this man for 2 months, 3 months, him or her. By that time, they're either on board with it or they're not. It depends on their leadership saying, I said, this is what we're going to do. Now, what I saw as a traveler, I won't say the hospital, but I'll say the city in St. Louis. It took a director like yourself, brought down to the department the CEO, the COO, and I guess all the other COOs. They were in decontam. They left, they followed that instrument card from the OR all the way through the process. They had to suit up, go in there. They undress, wash their hands, prepare themselves again for prep and pack. They was doing this for a whole week. Went to sterilization, saw that process. Sometimes they would make them put their hands on the package. Then they took it to sterile storage. In the last step, they had to participate in case building, case cart building. They said, wow, we do need more space. We do need, our need is right here. We can help these issues we're having.
Now, it's funny you say that because I did the same thing. I brought the C-suite down so they could tour and see what really happens. And it does change the landscape of when you say you need something, if they know the process. So I want to get this question to you so you can marinate on it for a second. I do have to take another quick commercial, but Rebecca put a question up that says, and it ties back into something of the motivation, the top talent. What is your opinion about people who are only here for a paycheck? Do you think you still can get a good work ethic out of these individuals? Hold on to it. Marinate on that. We're going to go to commercial. And when we come back, we can answer that. What do you think of somebody who's only there for a paycheck? And can you still bring out that motivation enough to get a good work ethic out of that person? Right after this commercial, we're going to talk about it. Norm, so they put you on the high seat. You got somebody who's only here for a paycheck.
Woo!
How do we get motivation and a good work ethic out of those type of individuals? And again,
Well,
it's going to play into what we're saying here about reevaluating the SPD needs, looking for the top talent, maximizing motivation. But they're only here for a paycheck. They come here to clock in, do their 8 hours, and go home. What do you do for that type of individual?
find out where they want to be at in the process. Get them there and leave them there. I mean, that's one way. If they
Okay.
if they like Deacon Tam, well, that's where you go. Any mistakes are made is going to be upon you because you have to scan those in. We can find out who makes the mistakes. If you like
Okay.
prep and pack, well, that's where you keep them. But then you don't allow them to develop a cancer while they're there. And then at that point, you can start weeding them right out the door because they're gonna fumble themselves. They're gonna call in late, call in sick, abuse the system, and you can start writing those letters and the exit strategy. Because we're trying to build a motivated team. The paycheck, okay, that's what you do. If you just want a paycheck and you like Deacon Tam, that's where you're going to be. You can say
what happens when you have departments that we rotate assignments? We just don't leave somebody in one place. They rotate assignments just to keep it fresh, keep it fair to the staff. We're moving people around, and you still have that person. Now they do their job. They come in. They don't want to advance. They don't want to be advanced. They come in, do just the bare minimum, do their 8 hours, and go home.
You keep them out of the real activities. You just stick them in Deacon Tam. You stick them in prep and pack. You can't, and sterilization, they could not be a part of because you have to be very focused there. And if they're just looking for a paycheck, the focus is not going to be there. And you have to keep them somewhere. You can keep them with a case card building,
But shouldn't that be the most focus? If you're building case cards, you got to be very detail oriented. We can't just stick them in case cards.
Well, think about this. In case cards, you have somebody checking that case card as well at the end. Some places do. You have to check and see you got all the instrument sets. If you're missing instrument sets because they're not available, then you set those to the side and you tag them with, well, I need, a hip or whatever you need. That's where they can thrive and flourish. But if they're building or creating a cancer, that's where you can slowly weed them out. We can't, once again, when the new sheriff comes to town, he says, we can't have this. Leave your problems at the door, the negative conversations, the complaining. We can't have that, period. So if that's what you want is a paycheck, you keep doing this right here.
So all in all, just so I get a clear picture, as long as they're not disrupting the building, as long as they're not a cancer to the inside of the department, they can stay as long as they're producing. Yeah. That's what I'm asking. As long as they're producing, they can stay in the department. It's just that we know that they're not going to be moved up to management, or we know that they're not trying to go to the next step on the career ladder. They're just there for their job. So we can manage that person just the right way, just manage them up or out, whatever the case, as long as they're following the rules and we don't find any mistakes and stuff, that person still can be productive to us.
Yeah, that person is going to go where they need to go. They're going to create their own environment. Now, within that environment, it has to fit inside our environment. If it doesn't, we'll have to make it fit. And if it can't fit, then, that's what'll happen. You're going to have them everywhere. But that negative mindset, that cancer, should not be allowed to develop because it's contagious. Cancer is contagious.
Right.
So as a leader, they're going to tell you, you're going to hear the information. And you'll manage that at that point. Hey, sit down. I need to talk to you. It's always communication. Communication is key. And I like this next one here. Most leaders just want to please the OR and the C-suits. Okay, not really help the real heroes. Every time I see a commercial and they speak of the heroes, they only talk about the doctors, the surgeons, and the nurses. They don't talk about SPD.
Right.
They don't talk about environmental services. Now, actually, you already know we are the real heroes. Call in sick, everybody. I'm not saying do that. Just imagine, just imagine if that happened to a hospital.
Okay.
Nothing could be done. All the procedures you had that day, if they were already built and ready to go, that's where it will stop. And then you'll have
Okay.
a bloody mess either in the hallway or in decontam if they make it down to decontam.
So
We're the real heroes.
my one of the reasons I do this is so we can try to change that narrative about not being seen and bringing more attention to the sterile process and bring attention to the EVSs and the real heart of the hospital type people. Oh yeah, you started some stuff. I was gonna read it. I was waiting till you got there, but UCDI says, hey, I disagree. Most leaders lead from the inside out and want everyone to win and grow. The manager and leader are not always synonymous. So, again, go ahead.
We're going to agree to disagree. That's the beauty of this podcast. Now,
right.
Manager and leader are not synonymous. And that's with everything you do. You can have a great leader who's a lead tech, who's a supervisor, who's just a tech 3. And he's really fueling the fire for the manager who's the non-leader, giving them the answers. And that person is not being, groomed for new positions, and that person leaves. So they're right about that.
Okay.
Now, I would like to see more of these leaders that they're talking about inside out and want everyone to win and grow. Percentage-wise, I met a few in Chicago who were part of the evaluation process. I haven't met that many. They're there somewhere. They're probably hidden.
See, here we go. It's that people praise what's visible. It's not fair. It doesn't even make sense. But that's why we pay $1,000 for LeBrons and $22 for John Starks. That's a great point. It's what can you do for me now? I get both sides. I get both sides, but like they're saying though, your point that you're making is, how do you say it? Like, as a manager and leader, not being synonymous. I get they're not always aligned, but what do you do in those situations? You're saying let that leader still be there, and the manager that's giving all the answers and putting themselves in the right position. So I'm just trying to figure out. Let's talk about that a little bit.
And we can talk about it all day. I'm not saying that they need to stay there. I'm saying that they will burn out those who are being the most productive. They'll either leave and go to another hospital and get paid for their knowledge base and grow and develop, go to conferences and meet these doctors and meet heads of HR and see the knowledge base by conversation. They can reach out and be a part of process, be a part of HSPA. They can be a part of different organizations, but in most cases that I've seen and experienced, they burn these people out. They frustrate these people, and they let those people who have mediocrity move in advance because they're not going to rock the boat. And knowledge is nonsense. Fighting to change the landscape with visibility. Okay, well, inch by inch is a cinch. By the yard is hard. It's going to take a little bitty group to keep chipping away at changing of the guard. We talked about it in Chicago. There's a need for the changing of the mindset in SPD, the attitude toward the department, and the attitude within the department. Once that,
but doesn't that come from us, the leaders, like the highly motivated leader trying to motivate their team, trying to talk to those surgical services, trying to talk to the other leads and stuff that like you say, we're not going to let you talk bad about the department. We're going to go out here and advocate for the department and try to make sure that we get visibility, try to make sure that we get the knowledge that, hey, we're, as you said, not the forbidden word, we're not the stupid people. We know what we're talking about. We're the experts in this field. Let us do our job. But that's on the leaders to go out and do that. And that's where, that's why I say I love this topic. I love this conversation because, again, these characteristics are and should be upheld by most leaders. And then just to do a recap, we're saying we want leaders that have the ability to maximize the motivation in their team and themselves. We need leaders that are able to tap into the technician talent that they have around, grow the technician from within, grow those staff, manage them up, as you say, training them to be your replacement. You want them to be training as if they're going to be your replacement. Prioritize patient care and safety, keeping the main goal of why we go to work every day at the forefront of your mind, making sure that you understand why you come in here and do what we do. Having the ability to reevaluate the SPD needs, looking from the inside and say, hey, no, this isn't going to work. As you gave the example, why are we trying to do 20 cases with 6 sets? Having been able to have those tough conversations. Oh, we need more space. Oh, we need a different set of sinks and decon. Being able to go to the C-suite and having those tough conversations. So those characteristics build you up to have that type of leader. And those are the leaders, those are the characteristics that we read about in your article that said, these are some of the basic characteristics, the core characteristics that make a great SPD leader.
Yeah. And I just love the positiveness that I'm getting from your audience. We can always agree to disagree. That's where solutions are found to the same old problems. First, you have to deal with the problem, find a solution. You can't let that problem we're going to just forget that. No, you have to weigh it out and evaluate it and take from it and subtract from it. These are the tough things. And I hope that any higher ups in the C-suite see me and don't look at me as a rebel. We can get labeled quick as people in our position, in our skin. We care, period. I was driven here because of the loss in my family. I shared that with you. I lost a son, daughter-in-law, grandbaby, and 2 other grandbabies in a 9-year period. I was chasing dollars. I learned how to chase care. I learned how to foster caring for people's needs in their dire, straight time of need. We have to understand, if you've seen your mother on that table, you want to be the one processing the equipment. We have to understand, we have to treat every customer, patient that we service like it's our family.
Right.
Permeate that to the department, which will then uplift. Find out who's tops. I was trying to research that. Who is the top hospital that no one quits and it's hard to get into? Because it's a lot of love there. It's a lot of communication there. It's a lot of respect there. And a lot of facilities don't have love, kindness, and respect toward, they say they do, quote unquote. But in reality, that culture is still, they work downstairs. They ain't nothing. Forget that. But you need us. We need you. And that's where I'm at with it. And once again, it took a lot. The actual article was about 4 pages long.
They had to cut it down as much as they could.
Julie emailed me, said, Norm, we got like a gazillion months. We can put at least 2-3 of these articles in there. So I cut it down and really trimmed the fat and didn't go into the different types of leadership skill sets, from democratic to domineering, all of that, customer service leadership. Now, see, that customer service leader is my leader. We serving customers. Patients are our customers. The OR is our customer. The GYN, whatever clinics, is our customer. I love doing what I do. I'm passionate, man. And don't call it angry. Don't call it, oh, he's all over the place. Call me the go-to guy, and I'm going to go do it. And if I can't do it, I'm going to find out how to do it.
I know that's right. Family, you have been sitting here. We've talked to Norm Thompson. Again, you can check out his articles in the process. This was our core characteristics of an SPD leader. Just sharing with you what you should be looking for in some of the leaders that are around you, and just making sure that you see what a leader looks like. He did do another article that we were going to get to, but I want y'all to be able to go and read it for yourselves.
Let's do it. Call me back and let's do that one again.
We can make sure we bring them back so y'all can talk about it after y'all see the article. But the article that he had in the latest edition, the September edition, October, and it was called "If Surgical Instruments Could Talk, What Would They Say?" Again, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, Norm, for coming on and sharing your expertise with us. Hey, this has been Time to Talk. Again, I'm your favorite family member.
Man.
Next week, Thursday, same time. Again, go out and get you some Caraguzuras. Use the code Time to Talk. Yes. Treat your feet. Norm, thank you. Family, I'll see you again in the near future. Thank you.
Have them bring me back. Have them bring me back.
That's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
Good night.